everybody, and welcome to Skateboard Nation. I'm Dave Andrick, your host today. And for all you people that are out there watching on YouTube, thank you. And just make sure you hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Well, anyway, today our show is going to be an exciting show. We got the one and only Kevin Moore.
Keep your arms and legs in the vehicle at all times. Don't hold your breath. You might pass out.
You never know what's coming, man. That's all I can say. But anyway, so here we are.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah. You know what? The funny thing is, too, is when we first started this thing, I went and had to Kevin's house, and we set up and did a little show. It was our premiere show, but nobody
Crash test dummies.
Yeah.
George Orton.
Yeah. Kevin and George Orton. That was like the Hall of Fame. That was the night before, or the day before the Hall of Fame, when everybody was in town.
George.
So I was lucky enough to grab him and you, and we started doing this. And
turned us into guinea pigs.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether we liked it or not.
And it was a lot of fun. And so here we are back now. It's been about almost a year. Wow.
Yeah.
Since we did that.
Yeah, about
first
10 months.
test pilot. Yeah. And anyway, so now it's one-on-one. So
glad to be here.
So you won't be too nervous, I hope. You don't have George to sit there and say
following
something.
in George's shadow. But with all due respect to him, he's a mentor of mine. So
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Georgie.
He's a granddaddy.
I'm gonna get Georgie back in here.
And hear the real story.
On the next, yeah. That'll be.
I got to be kind to him on this one because it trashed me on the next one.
Exactly. No.
Be careful what you wish for.
Anyway, so. Kevin, let's start back in the very beginning. Okay, so when you were first skating, where were you living? You were living up
Walnut, California.
Okay,
of all places. Yeah.
Okay, so was Walnut considered part of the Badlands, or was that?
It's a little bit, I think, southwest of it, but we were close to the 10 freeway.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I mean, we were skipping to jump up to 60 or whatever, but Pomona Pipe and Pool. And Upland were considered our local parks, yeah. There were some West Covina parks that kind of hopped up and then went out of biz or whatever, but really those were the two pounding grounds for us.
Okay, so when did you start skating? Tell me about your first experiences, like...
What got me into skateboarding?
Yeah, were you just driving down hills and running into cars, or back then?
Ironically, luckily I had a dad was very active with motorcycle racing.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
And in a killer custom car painter and auto body shop. My grandfather had started a body shop probably in the late 50s, and my dad had taken it over. So long story short, we were really into auto body and paint. My dad's painting trucks and boats and Harleys and you name it. You know, refrigerators and his teeth when he didn't look good. But at the end of the day, it was we lived to ride motorcycles. And I think from like 70, probably my earliest memory when we moved from Glendale, Burbank to Walnut in 1970, everything was all about getting to the track 2 or 3 nights a week and painting the bikes in the garage and making the whole neighborhood smell like toxic fumes. And we had like 50-gallon containers of toxic, explosions in our garage that our neighbors would chew our ass out for. But then when it was time to paint their Jag, they were friggin' stoked my dad had it. Wheel it in and wet the floors and shut the door and, then roll out a new, Jag or whatever. But then from skateboarding, or from motocross, I got into skateboarding in like 76. Unfortunately, we had a house fire on August 2nd, 1976, ironically the bicentennial year. And it kind of forced me to put motorcycle racing on hold. At that time, my mom and dad were stressed out. They lost their house. My dad was self-employed. My mom worked for the county of Belmonte. And it was one of those things where we just had to put everything on hold again. And I had to find other outlets for my energy. So my neighbor, Eric Carlson, great guy who loved skating, but used to come over and motocross with me in my driveway.
Yeah.
We'd have a little, crash up derbies right there in the neighborhood through everybody's front yard and off the curbs and across the street and around. We just pissed all the neighbors off. And
this is BMX now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did all this prior to the skateboarding thing and during the motorcycle phase. And I thought skateboarding was kind of just dumb. I just the stupidest fucking thing in the world to do is try to stand on a board and roll down the street. I mean, I just wanted to turn the throttle and fly through the air, And again, when the house burned down, I had to find something else to do. So Eric got me into skating. And then guys like, Pat Allen and Mark Baker, the USA Mark Baker, and the Clifford brothers, Mike and Jeff and Bart. And Bruce Vogel with the Outhouse Skate Shop.
Bruce,
West Covina Beach,
whatever happened to Bruce? Where'd he go?
He's living out, quite honestly, I don't know exactly where, but he's loving life. He's,
Okay.
I see him on Facebook and stuff, and he's doing his thing. He just did a nice marathon, I think, to raise some money for the kids in cancer.
Yeah.
So right on Bruce for that one. He's just living the dream still.
Yeah, I haven't.
But he was my first sponsor.
Okay, yeah.
So from motocross to skateboarding, it all happened like in 1976. We didn't have a choice. When the house burned down, it was like my dad's like, we got to.
And where was that? Where was your house at that time?
Upper Collegewood, right above Mount Sac College, Cal Poly Pomona, Mount Sac.
Okay.
Walnut, Upper Collegewood. I went to Walnut High School until I decided to drop out because I thought motorcycle racing would be a career. So when I walked out of there, like, I don't know, 3 months into my junior year, I never looked back. And my parents were like, well, he's 17, 18, he'll make his own decision. And then, of course, when it was time to get a real life, I had to go back to, do the GED and get the tests done and all that stuff and get into an actual college, which I hated doing. And my dad finally told me, why do you want to go to school and be a designer? One of the best designers are the guys that build it. So
right.
we jumped. Hold on, stop that right there. Just stop it.
Stop what?
Edit this out.
No, I was letting him know that we were putting.
Oh, okay. Because I realized just now I jumped like 3 stories and I'm like, fuck, slow down.
No.
So I thought maybe he would signal to you like getting back to.
No, man. We're good. We're not changing anything, man. We're all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
a
we were talking about first sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was Outhouse.
Yeah.
Bruce
Right.
Vogel. Yeah. West Covina Beach, California. We always thought it was funny to see West Covina Beach because it's right down there in the middle of, the suburbs.
It's a long way from
You got
the beach.
Azusa, you got
It's
freaking.
a long ways from the ocean.
We're nowhere near the smell of a freaking seaweed. I promise you
Not
that,
out
bro.
there, man. He's on Sin, and it was on Citrus. Haven't it?
Citrus and maybe Badillo, but yeah, it's on Citrus, right across the street from the old historical movie
144.
theater.
144. I'm not
Well, the
mistaken.
cool thing was they used to always show Rocky Horror Picture Show at that theater, like nonstop. Like 20 years later, it was still just out the day before, and everyone was still there in drag, wearing the uniform. The whole. You'd see him like every Friday night, Rocky Horror Show.
Yeah.
And then Bruce would leave the shop open sometimes a little bit later, and we'd be skating up the street and stuff. But yeah, good old West Covina Beach, California.
Yeah, man. I remember. I just remember Bruce. I used to sell to him years ago when I was working for Gordon and Smith at that time, actually. So that must have been like. That was years later. That was like
77.
84, 85 is when I met Bruce first time.
Yeah, he hopped around a little bit, but in the end, it was McGill's after the Outhouse. From Outhouse, it went to McGill's.
Right.
That was pretty much all his thing. And he had Ralph as a partner in the beginning, who used to come out to the skateboard contest with us and cause all kind of havoc. He was like the Fausto
Okay.
of the early day.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to rant and rave about, and here we are, a total unknown team. And he's making it seem like we're supposed to be at the top of the list, but at the end of the day, this was way before Upland even got big.
So I don't think the Upland was around then.
Right about then, because those were the contests that he used to come out and kind of rant a little bit about.
I'm thinking, that wasn't even there, but yeah, 78, definitely. I was skating there, so.
Well, it was the time we were still building, everything was backyard ramps and a few empty pools and some ditches. But, I mean, really the pipe.
Do you know the name of the shop that's there now?
No idea.
Oh, okay. I can't remember either. But there's still a shop.
Probably a hair salon.
No, it's still a shop. I was up there, about a year ago. It was the last
skate
time.
Shop?
Yeah.
Surf shop?
Bruce's place is.
Get out of here. McGill's or the Outhouse?
The Outhouse, where the Outhouse is. That's still a skate shop.
Dude,
I just can't remember the name of it. It's
that's like 45 years.
I know. I can't remember the name of it, but it's right on the tip of my tongue.
Talk about milking it.
I know. Hey, man. But I mean, it's a new owner, and the guy's super rad. He actually works at the water company up there. That's what he does for his real job.
Part-time gig.
And then the shop is, he's. I think
not a bad decision for a second job.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was a good friend of Bruce's from the story that I remember. So, but anyway,
it's
all right. So here we go.
So there's a long-winded first round.
Who got you started in skateboarding? Like who? How? Okay,
so my neighbor, Eric, he was more into it than I was. And,
okay. Was he skating vert at that time, or was he street?
We were just getting into skating. Actually, Chicago trucks and Cadillac wheels were just happening.
Really?
Yeah, and he's, it was a very flex boards. It was all about that flex. I can't even remember the name of the first board that I got, but it was a total surf type,
like a Bane or something, or if it's plexiglass. It's
super flexible, and the Stoker wheels.
Was it plastic or was it fiberglass?
It's fiberglass.
Okay.
But it was, we thought it was cool to have the flex board,
Yeah.
and every, we had no risers under the trucks, and every time you rubbed, you just, you learn.
Tumbled.
Yeah. You got to kiss. You got to kiss your lips a few times and go on with this part of your lip, and then if I didn't do it on a bicycle, I did it on a skateboard now, so I had like a double whammy. But it was literally September of '76 because our house burned right in August, and it wasn't more than a couple months before I started skating. It was completely unexpected. I had no intentions to ever ride a skateboard.
Were you going to parks at that point?
I can't remember when that was even open. Covina had a few that were kind of opened. I can't remember the names of them, but they were so.
You're talking about the timeline in Carlsbad and
pretty much
all those when those first parks opened up.
Yeah, I think Carlsbad was still just a hair before that time, though.
Yeah,
but I mean, in the end, it was training grounds for us.
Okay.
There was a pipe underneath Grand Avenue that we used to go skate, and then, like I said,
I mean, Baldy was pretty close. Did you ever make?
I just really wasn't good enough at that time. I was haired out. I mean, so we're still talking Bruce Vogel day, 77, and then after that, the Fruit Bowl was popular.
Right.
I was super intimidated to even try to drop in. And you got guys like Waldo and like I said, we did that little road trip with Miguel's with Bruce. And ironically, Salva jumped on board with us, and he was like sitting by himself in the back of the van. It was me and a couple other grommets, and really no bikers at all.
Yeah.
But we went down the road, that pipe, or the pool, and I just remember being so intimidated by how much talent was there. And Salva ripped it even back then. Mm-hmm. And then as the skate park started to open and we started competing and stuff, then we'd see regular faces. And then when Upland opened, it was pretty,
separated the men from the boys.
Well, it was pretty obvious that it takes balls to ride walls. You got to get out there and go for it. And then, of course, on opening day, Kevin Taylor Hunt stole the show. He just tore that place up like nobody's ever. Kevin Taylor Hunt, Tay Hunt.
Oh, Tay Hunt.
Yeah, and Salva and Mick. But I mean, you got Steve Evans and Gnarly Charlie Ranson and Harvey Hawks and Steve Evans.
Was Ayers around there?
I think Greg was more of the San Pedro crew with Casmus and Doug Schneider.
Wasn't he in ROM at that time?
It's really funny you mentioned David Z. I kind of, not that I want to claim to fame, but I kind of took him under my wing just a little bit and tried to give him some trucks and wheels because no one really noticed him. But I saw a kid that had so much talent that launched an ollie so effortlessly and so perfect. Kind of like how Jimmy Wilkins does today, just the gnarliest ollie you'll ever see, front side or backside. And Tony Mag does an incredible ollie. But to see that kid back then, I thought, and I was, putting him on boards and trucks and wheels and hoping that he would get to the next level, which he eventually did. But I don't know whatever happened to him. But he was a hidden talent for a long time. And then when he finally burst on the scene.
Did David Z ever go pro? I don't remember him ever going pro.
I don't know. I thought he was always in that. He was.
Yeah. I mean, I ended mine as an AM.
He came at the height and it just crashed.
Yeah, no. I mean, his timing was like
he peaked out at the worst time because the show was shutting down. It was literally, I mean, it's kind of ironic how back then the insurance.
There was a lot of those skaters that just got lost for a year or so.
Years, it's like longer than that. I mean, the industry didn't come back till what, 83, 84? What, Gen 2 with, even though Hosoi and Cab and Miguel went on from Gen 1 to Gen 2, as far as I'm concerned, Gen 1.
But those guys went
76 to 78, 79, our era, and then that little gap when everything took a dive.
Right.
And then the parks reopened.
Yeah.
And then Cab and Miguel and Hawk, and then, of course, Christian Hosoi, through his adventure, finally came back in. But then became the Tony Hawk era. It was just, and I didn't follow it at all during that time. I kind of lost interest in it. It was too mechanical for me. It literally looked like, kind of like how motocross got it. Just you get in the stadium and it's a dog and pony show. No disrespect. It's just, you got to get down the track and you got to go for 3 frickin' miles if that's a race, and it doesn't make sense to put everything in a fishbowl, but it just pissed me off when I saw that. I'm like,
it's just funny because you sit there and say, like Cab and McGill and all those Lance Mountain, all those guys went through Generation 1 and Generation 2 and then Generation 3. Then they lasted through Generation 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
They're like Elgato. They got 9 lives. They're all, I mean, Eddie, they're all amazing. They're still doing it. I don't have a problem skating. I can still skate. I just don't hit the ground as well as I used to.
Oh no, you hit the ground better now.
You know, to break a wrist or have a serious injury or blow the knee out again or not be able to play drums or not be able to design and do what I love to do now or in living in pain is not like the rush of making the trick is not worth the pain of slamming. So
and as people skate around you because it's taking you a while to get up and get out of the pool. And skaters are impatient, so let's skate around you.
Okay, so all right, so anyway,
to say the least.
Yep.
Motocross will run your ass clean over. And then they'll apologize and buy your cheeseburger when it's over. But still, at the end of the day, it's a high five. They want the #1 plate. But skating's not as brutal, I don't think. But it got pretty nasty. There were some... Yeah.
it's competitive
There was
people,
some
that's all.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Depending on who you are.
I think everybody was always wanting to be #1, no matter what.
You throw Dwayne in the mix and you got nothing but toxic trouble, man.
Yeah.
And then with all the talent, him and Salva and Olsen and Hackett and you and Orton, yeah. We were intimidated. We stood back like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Oh, well, Eddie. Kudos to Eddie, my buddy, my teammate. You know, I was really surprised when I was able to do what I did in the amateur time. And just to kind of put a cap on this, like 2 to 2.5 years, I was in and out. I had reached my peak and I had my fun. But, you know, these guys have continued to go on. But it was amazing to see, even though I won the USASA amateur thing and got the overall point winner, on that important day to be the champ, Eddie had taken it at Whirlin' Wheels of all places, the most horrible skate park that ever existed on the freaking planet. And then, again, getting the overall points thing mattered. But when I ended up breaking my ankle and walking away from skateboarding and then coming back for Lakewood and like 1.5 years later, it was cool to see Eddie progress. And then him and Dwayne and Salva and Mickey and everybody just keep on going and take it to the next level. But I was more blown away seeing that Dale was able to take his little private student to the side and get him to that level. The front side rock and roll, the Algario, the front side early release off that extension at the half pipe at Colton. I mean, if you want to get your ass kicked, go try to skate against Eddie Algara in Colton when he was in his prime. It's not going to happen. You're going to go home in a freaking body bag. But it was cool to see that. It was great to see. One thing I wanted to mention was when you look back on that sport, I can't really remember a more aggressive period where things happen so fast, where the pace of tricks, even though I know Hawk and his incredible 100 and some tricks that he does, and you know, seriously, and everybody just kind of like being in his shadow, like, seriously, how many more of these things you got in your bag? I still think our era really launched a lot of innovation in a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
Right after Chicago trucks and Cadillac wheels and ball bearings and flex boards to hard boards and toothpicks to, you know, kicktails and bolt-on kicktails and then warp tails. Everything happened in like, what, 1.5 years, 2 years?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so, like it or not, you know, be cool or be cast out. You gotta keep up with it. But I never could keep up with where these guys were going, the elevation of tricks they were doing so fast. When Eddie did the frontside hand plant, I tried it like a half a dozen times and thought my arm was going to break. So forget that. Frontside rock and roll, the way his foot was so tweaked, you might as well just be a freaking alien. It doesn't make any sense. It just didn't make sense how you can pull it off. And then to see some people only do frontside rock and rolls and not do backside rock and rolls blew my mind. And then again, the Algario and all the other stuff. So Eddie, that one's to you, man. And looking forward to hanging with you at the Elgato for your 60th birthday, young man. Little plug there for you. Thanks, Gavin.
Hey, we plug it every show. We talk about every show.
Eddie, man. He was nice enough and so gracious enough to welcome me back when I said I think I want to come back and kind of hang out a little. And he says, come to the Elgato. And I saw Mr. Losi at the car shows, and he said, hey, you got to come out. Eddie's doing a really cool thing. And it was like, I think the 3rd or 4th one before I actually went to my first one. But it was cool. He was very hospitable and not knowing that he was a pastor of his church and everything he's been dedicated to was kind of cool. But I'm still surprised these guys are riding skateboards at, you know, 160 years old. It just and slamming. Remember when he fell at the Vans contest and knocked himself out?
To this day, he claims he never got knocked out.
No, my daughter, Bree, and Eddie's wife, we were all sitting together, and we watched it happen. And actually, my daughter was more in tune with what happened. She's like, Dad, Eddie's hurt. And I saw him do the trick, but I really didn't see him backpedal to his head.
I did.
that incredible helmet he had. What's it called? Something #1 helmet.
S1 or something.
So he thinks it saved his noggin, which I don't. But yeah, when he woke up, he's kind of like he just went out to walk the dog or something. Like, I'm totally fine. What are you talking about? I go, no, man, you were knocked out for a little bit. And his wife's like, yeah. And my daughter's like,
I was sitting straight across the pool, looking straight down, watching him knock out, laying there, out.
We saw from the side view, and the head slamming
whiplash
was pretty gnarly.
whiplash, man. Just
you're talking 12 feet,
13,
13.
13.
That was not a small fall for a 56-year-old man. Yeah. Okay,
no,
literally, it's about I think where he was at that time.
Yeah.
So
let's see.
Thank God he didn't end up.
Yeah, he's probably 55, 56 at that time. Because that was 4 or 5 years ago.
I think it was.
He's turning 60 November 12th.
Well, the shirt I have from that event is the
Elgato.
Well, the shirt that I have from the event is 2017.
Oh, is it?
So
Okay.
yeah, that was the last one that I actually. I think I went 17 and 18, but I didn't get a shirt for 18. And then of course the Elgato was about 18 also. Yeah. But that was a noggin bunker to say the least. But he's all good.
Yeah.
Next day he's like, thanks for everybody's support and all that, and I got my bell rung, and I'll be back bigger and better than ever. I'm Elgato. I've got 9 lives.
That's it.
I think he's maybe had 2 left. So
all right. So let's. I was getting back to that amateur thing.
The USASA.
Yeah. You were skating for a skate park at that time?
No. I rode. Charlie Ransom had put me on Hobie.
Okay.
And Dale took me under his wing. Thank you, Dale. I owe you one too. It's not just about Eddie. Sausage Man did everything he could to get everybody to progress, as you know. He's one of your dearest friends.
Yeah.
So very ambitious to keep bringing little rock stars up his alley, because Eddie was his boy, and we were all trying to kind of compete with Eddie.
Right.
But one thing about Hobie is with Cash behind, the desk, Jeff Reese behind the camera, Glenn Miota, and then of course the team riders.
Was Glenn like a photographer then at that time, just for Hobie? Is that how that worked?
Yeah.
Did he actually
as much as I'd like to say I know a little bit more about my dear friend Glenn, I don't remember him in relation to when Jeff was there.
Okay.
Jeff was more 78, 79 when I did the Hobie ad with the French model.
Yeah. Okay.
My skateboard ad. Show the ad.
Because I know that, this ad.
No, this guitar ad.
The guitar ad.
Yeah, that's the one with me and Eddie at Marina.
Yes. Yeah. So,
that was shot in the warehouse in Costa Mesa behind Hobie, where we had the indoor ramp set up. And it was really kind of creative how Jeff took the background of the building and he blended it in where you can't even hardly see it.
Right. Blacked it out more.
And then he staged it like that. He wet the floors, and we were right there at like 9 o'clock at night. And here I am, a drummer holding a guitar. I feel like Dave Grohl. Dave. Yeah, Taylor Hawkins. And he stuck me in those crazy high top, Fred Astaire boots.
Don't you wish you still had them?
I had dozens of pairs, but we don't want to talk about it.
Oh, man, no, we're going to talk about it.
And then
we're talking
and this
about
model that they brought in, which, of course, I don't want to get too much in detail, but after that was over, and we didn't have cell phones, I sure made sure that her phone number was written somewhere on my board or my bottom of my shoes. But I think Jeff did a fantastic job on that. I like how we brought in the sequence of her acting as if like I'm kind of like a rock star and she's a groupie, and she walked by and then she turned into Rad Kitty like, and I'm like, go girl, go, But it was weird how when I saw it, I went, what the hell are you doing, man? And then the cool part, look at the bottom when can you zoom in to where it says the thing?
But
Kevin Moore, whatever, plays the riffs in his local bar. He's like he's playing off skateboarding and being a guitarist and mixing it in together, and chooses the Park Machine, and however he jibes. And I thought it was pretty cool. It was a little bit long-winded because if you look, it's like 5 friggin' sentences there. But and then in the little corner for $5, you can buy a Hobie ball cap.
Yeah,
love it. That's probably Dale's idea. and kind of like on the other ad with me and Eddie, for $5 you can get a Hobie cap and stickers sent to your house in the mail right there. See, look, special.
Yeah,
see it?
Yeah.
With the with our Hobie Park Machine board logo there. But funny thing about that photo, I never looked good in hats, and I sure as hell don't look good from the side with my Irish nose. And I always hated that shot. And the board was brand new; it was never worn, and in our, our whole full gear. And Eddie, of course, wearing our traditional team shirt. But when it got launched, I thought it was kind of a corny ad. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you're recognized for anything in this life, you got to be grateful. I thought that's a classic ad.
Yeah.
And when I got kind of reconnected with Ed again, he sent that to me, which was kind of cool because I guess that ad meant a lot to him because it was us together, obviously.
Yeah.
And then my indie ad, of course, with Santa Cruz Independent. Great. So
were you pro now, or are you still an amateur?
I never went pro.
I was going to say, because
I never really did. After I broke my ankle, I didn't feel like I had enough, so I wanted to get back in the ring one more time with everybody. And I wanted to get in there with Dwayne and Mickey and Eddie and maybe even Olsen, which might have been a suicide mission. But at the end of the day, let's go kamikaze. I thought I could do it one more time. Luckily, a lot of them didn't show up for the event.
So this was what you're talking about, Lakewood. Okay.
Yeah, 81, right. 82. But when that was shot, Jim Goodrich.
Where is that? Is that Pomona?
Pomona, my hometown park.
Okay.
And Jim was so creative. He gave me the concept as to what he wanted to do. And the strobe I thought was still a little close, but that was what he was shooting for. Now that I see the final photo, he nailed it. But I'll tell you a little secret behind this. The trick was I literally had to learn how to ride the pipe at night in the dark with my eyes closed so I can feel the transition because Jim demanded it was shot in pure dark. And I love that.
I've had that.
It's the greatest decision he ever, the effect would never be the same without that decision. And notice how the light reflecting off the lip where my hand is as well as under my board. And it's right in your eyes. So I'd come skate in the pipe. Keep in mind, I rode this thing every day, so I could almost do it in my sleep. Not to brag, but when you get to the end, it's much deeper. Yeah. 15, 16 feet.
Yeah.
And there's a longer, everything's just taking longer. And then when you come up, and let's say you're from here, you launch, all of a sudden you go from dark to light, and then poof,
back to dark.
Of course, everything's, like after a long night in Soho. Yeah. But then I had to land it and roll out of it. And Jim would be like, got it. Let's do it again. Yeah. And everything was still blinking, Yeah. But hey, man, we pulled it off. Somehow I was able to ride that damn thing in the dark.
It's like, I feel like a guinea pig too, because I had the same experience.
Right.
But mine was under the Oasis, underneath the highway lamp. So we had...
Under the freeway?
Yeah, under the freeway. We had to skate at midnight.
I never ever skated that part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we had to skate at midnight. It was the same thing, pitch dark, just so he could get that flash on. But hey, it was like, one of the best photos I ever had by far. So
did you ever skate, Greg, those parks at all? Did you?
No.
Yeah. I skated a lot.
One park I didn't get a chance to ever skate. I always saw pictures of like Dennis Martinez and Pineapple and
where's this at? Steve Cathy?
Oasis.
Oh, okay.
Steve Cathy and
there's a ton of people. Yeah, Lane. Yeah.
And Mikey Laris.
Oh yeah.
Mikey. Yeah, but I never really. Del Mar was kind of my spot.
Okay.
It's kind of ironic. You want to hear?
Yeah, man. Let's tell me about Del Mar.
So, well, again, being a Badland boy, only skating my local parks and ramps and stuff. We'll get into the ramp story later with Stacy on the cover of Skateboard with Cassimus and everybody coming over that magical day.
Yeah.
But we would, Frank Blood would come to my 10th grade class.
Frank Blood. Wow.
Love Frank Blood.
Okay.
He was a great skater.
Right.
Chicks loved him.
Yeah.
2 out of 2. And then Tom Sims bought him a badass new van. For 3 for 3, and he used to come to Walnut High School, and I'd have my custom car, my truck sit in the parking lot, and he'd come to my 10th grade science class. And I hope I can say this on film, but I'm just going to go for it. And my high school science teacher was named Mr. Dickhoff.
Okay.
And we used to call him Bite Ya.
Bite Ya.
So he would come to Bite Ya Dickoff's door on the door and say, hey, I got to get my brother out of class. Our mom's not feeling. We played this whole game, where he was like getting me out of school, and we'd go out and we'd go to my house. We'd lock my truck up or drop my truck off at the.
Yeah, we got your truck on there.
Oh, there
And the thing about it is, I remember about your truck is it was like you customized the back of the truck. I mean, that was a trick truck back in the day.
Let me finish the story.
Okay.
So he would get me out of class and then drive me down to this new park called Del Mar that was just opening.
Okay.
And that was the first time for me skating Del Mar. What, 78, right? About then?
Yeah.
They opened it, right? So I had no idea. This is Del Mar even existed, let alone San Diego. You know, so him bringing me down, I fell in love with San Diego. Here I am, a, you know, San Gabriel Valley kid, and I was never really Reseda. You know, I wasn't out there where Sharp and Jay and Tony and Hackett and everybody was ripping. I never really hit that neck of the woods much. I always stayed mid, kind of Lakewood area to the Pipeline and to Baldy and of course Pipeline Park. But when Frank took me to Del Mar, I fell in love with that place. Right down to, I mean, you'd show up and nobody would be at the park. There'd be no coping grinds. The place was a completely virgin park. I couldn't believe how smooth that keyhole was. Wow. So those days were like riding in Frank's killer van and whatever little hotties he decided to bring for the trip. And, you know, like a whole backpack full of 15 Sims boards. You know, Frank was pretty in your face about that as far as having all of his equipment. And I didn't know George at this time, so we didn't have a chance to skate with anybody else but him and I. Kyle Jensen, and trying to think of the other guy's name.
That's 3 shows in a row.
Kyle Jensen. Matt. I'm trying to think of Matt's last name. Who? Matt. Gosh, I can't think of Matt's name, but him and Kyle were really good friends during that time. They were kind of like how I was with Eric and Pat Allen and Mark Baker, kind of our hometown boys. Trying to think of Matt's name. And then of course we knew Jim Goodrich, you know, and guys like Jimmy Aiken and and Dennis, of course, and Pineapple and stuff. But that was their park, aside from Oasis, but I still had no idea this place existed. And when I literally fell in love with it. I remember going home and telling my parents, see, and I wouldn't want to be, I'm out of here. I'm just packing my shit up and I'm going south. And then me and my dog and my drums and my van, and you know, 40-some years later, I'm still down here, but just roll the dice. Eventually you'll get snake eyes, but whether that's good or bad. But driving the custom truck was cool too, because everywhere I went, people kind of knew me, either from the Continental or the truck. Continental actually was my dad's car. I never got to own it, but he let me drive it. And when I broke my leg, with the broken leg shot right there, which is kind of a dorky shot, but it's all I can find. But I used to throw my leg across the seat, and my girlfriend at that time, Jillian, would put my leg, you know, and she would like stick stickers and write all over it every day. She'd write something new. She'd color on it because she was bored. And I was driving with my left foot. So when we got pulled over, the cops pull up, and I got a convertible and suicide doors, and it's lowered. Kind of looking at the ride like a white kid, and you know, trying to figure it all out. And Jill's like, you know, Italian, and you know, her hair's all crazy, and so was mine. And they're like, you can't be driving. I'm like, what do you mean I can't be driving? You can't drive with your left foot. You got a broken leg. You need to be driven around. And of course, it came down to we're going to tow the car or your girlfriend's going to drive. And of course, I had to get out and ride shotgun for like 3 blocks until they left, and then I got back in the captain's chair in the driver's seat. But that shot right there was probably the only serious injury I think I've ever had in my whole life. And it's ironic to say this, but after motocross racing, and not to make it sound like I was a world champion, but racing for the #1 plate for maybe 4 or 5 years, hardcore, from about 73, 74, my first trophy was 74, up till about 76, 77, when our house burnt. I still held on a little bit after the house burning down, but I didn't have a serious injury on a motorcycle. And I was getting run over by my own teammates trying to race for the #1 plate. We were right below Jeff Ward and the top motocross racers of that time in the 80cc class. And if you do any research on Jeff Ward, you'll see that he was the first 7-time world champion motocross racer from 50cc class to 75, 80 to 110, 125, 250, and then on to the open class, which was a fun. Wow. Yeah, so Wardy killed it. And then, of course, huge. Jeremy McGrath. Right. And Ricky Carmichael followed after that. So kudos to the Flying Freckle, Jeff Ward from Mission Viejo. Unbeatable machine. And I can remember his father, Jack Ward, and my dad, Kenny Moore, bless his heart, holding us up on the friggin' starting line, and we couldn't even touch the ground. And we would just be ready. And our dad used to put like this 90 proof fuel in our 4-stroker motor, which would shoot flames out 3 or 4 feet. And if you were in second place, your eyes were burning because you're breathing airplane fuel. And it was these little frickin' crazy grommets wanting to win. Yeah, you know, be the next world champion motocross racers. But that's where it started, 74. And like I said, I don't want to claim to ever have beaten Jeff, because he was not someone you could beat. But to be that close to him and to get to a mini expert class and have all these trophies and unfortunately lose him in a house fire in the end, it's another story, but that's okay. You got to know how to say goodbye to it. It kind of helped me to be able to let other things go in life, because overnight you didn't have a choice. Everything was burned. Your photos, your life story, everything you know is your childhood, all of your trophies, your parents, your family. It kind of the beginning of the end, but in hindsight, you become bigger. You know, I think you become stronger from it. I like to think so, at least, because you don't have a choice.
It's all up to you. It's your decision to do it.
You lay on the couch and go to sleep, or you get back in the ring and have a few more punches left, right?
Yeah.
Get a few more swings in. All that in relation to the story that I'm trying to share with you is just amazing how much goes down in a small amount of time as a kid, and then it kind of sticks with you the rest of your life too, and makes you more competitive and a little bit rough on the edges, a little bit more ambitious about things.
That's you.
Yeah.
That's you.
What's it? Well, I mean,
they're all you.
I mean, it's cool. I guess don't question fate, right? Deal the cards you're dealt with. But I know I went full circle there. What was the question?
Yeah, right.
Trying to be part of family entertainment. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you mentioned earlier about a story about Stacy on the ramp.
Oh yeah.
What happened?
I was a big
on
fan
that?
of Stacy Peralta.
Because I remember he got a cover from that, right? That's the issue.
Stacy got one of the coolest covers I think I've ever seen.
Skateboarder.
I think it's one of the coolest covers that I've ever seen, literally in our time of skateboarding.
Yeah.
And not to kind of boast about our ramp, but there was our neighbor named David Britton. He was a quiet kid, kind of a nerdy kid, but was a skateboarder. Actually, before I was, he kind of was skating way before me, with his Road Rider wheels and his Bennett trucks and he was like spinning, 6 or 8 360s. And his parents had
That was big back then.
his parents had a bitchin' tennis court in their side yard, and David and his sister were the only children, and they let him build a ramp there.
Yeah.
Long story short, ramp was built. It was our training ground. Without it, I wouldn't have learned hand plants and rollouts and all the stuff. I learned it all on the ramp, 8 feet wide.
Yeah.
Should have probably went 12 or 16, you think? And we skated the shit out of that ramp, man, from day and night. And we had lights out there too,
Right.
so we can skate at night. Frank Blood used to come by, like I said, the Clifford brothers, Mike and Jeff and Bart, Eric Carlson, my neighbor. We all shredded this thing. Doug Owens, another guy that lives in San Diego here, who was also a skater way before I was. Good 2-3 years before me. They were skating in like 76, 75, 76. I was still probably mid 77, and then 78, 79 was the competition. But that was the training ground for us. And if it wasn't for that ramp, I don't think I would ever be able to ride vert, because a regular ramp built up against a wall just wasn't the same. And we did rollouts. We used to take 8-inch plastic pipe and cut it in quarters so that I can roll out and roll back in and be able to literally lip out. Well, Stacy showed up and saw that and just started saliving. He was just getting me on the ramp, because that was his gig. Stacy was the king of lippers over the top.
Yeah. So.
And that shot is a bitchin' shot. If Greg happens to find that shot on there,
Yeah.
I'll get
bring
it
it
in
back.
post.
Yeah.
the way he was that was so Stacy's style for that lip. It was the perfect combination of just Stacy at his best, kind of a lipper guy, even though he was known for all his slide technique and stuff.
Right.
And Casmus's killer.
But that was just a frontside grind that he was doing right then, wasn't
But
it?
he was leaned back in. His knees were up kind of closer. I mean, it was just a cool surf move front side. Other than going into a layback, it was just and only 8 feet wide. Again, I mean, he didn't have a lot of room to really get his style in there.
Right.
And James nailed it. Stacy nailed it. And then this is before I ever even, I think I wasn't even sponsored by Hobie yet. So Casmus shows up one night with Chuck Rios, which is the cousin of Dave Britton. And with him is Greg Ayers and Doug Schneider.
Oh, wow.
Whether you guys remember this or not. And I think maybe a guy named Billy was there, who unfortunately hurt himself pretty bad at the pipeline. Front side fell, hit his hip, was unfortunately on a cane from that point, which nobody knew skateboarding could hurt someone that bad, but Billy was in that category, I hate to say. And I think there was 1 or 2 other guys, and everything happened in about an hour. And at nighttime, Jim pretty much, I think, pushed Stacy. Stacy took over the session. I mean, I'm sure he has photos of Schneider and Ayers on there. And I really think Ayers was there, but I could be wrong, but I'm pretty damn sure he was. For us to see that on the cover of Skateboarding, literally within a month, it didn't take long. Cassimus, as you know, had a lot of pull with
No,
Sir James.
Yeah, he was a photo editor there. So
You know, if James is not going to do it,
yeah.
Goodrich, Jim will get in there, and Friedman and everybody else. You know, all the greatest photographers of all.
But Friedman, you know, it was funny because he went into the Hall of Fame and he never got a cover of Transworld or Skateboarder or anything else. Same thing with Stesic. Neither one of them.
Greg never did either.
No.
He wrote every article but never got a cover shot. Go figure.
I know.
Really? You get invited to every party,
No.
but you got to take Uber to go home.
It was all Jim Cassimus, Jim Goodrich, T-Bone, Terrebonne, and who might I leave that out? Goodrich?
I owe a lot of kudos to T-Bone,
Craig Feynman. Yeah.
Yeah, both great photographers.
Yeah, but those were like the regular on
But who
photographers
aside from that shot of Stacy, which I don't want to leave that just lingering. That shot, and thanks for bringing it up, because it was probably one of the coolest cover shots, and it says in there when you flip the page, some backyard ramp from West Covina, California.
Yeah, right.
Well, for the record, it was in Walnut, Upper Collegewood, Walnut, California, Dave Britton's backyard, and shot at night, cold. I remember it was cool that night, so things were a little slick. And
did it have plastic coping on that?
Well, no, we had real coping on one side. Yeah, I'll let the cat out of the bag. We went to Harvey Mudd College and broke the caps, the lids off the tops of the walls. We took and then I drilled through it, being the son of a, you know, my dad was a custom car builder, but now he's in landscape construction. Go figure. But
your dad did? Did he do that?
No. My dad had all the tools to drill through concrete. So, so I went ahead and just mounted everything and bolted it on. We had real coping. Yeah. From Harvey Mudd College in Upland, off of, I can't remember the foothill, right across the street from Bob's Big Boy. And we went home with like 8 pieces of coping. Well, no, 4, I lied, because they're 2 foot each piece, so it's an 8 foot wide ramp. Do your math. And I'll do it. We grinded the shit out of that thing, man. And the other side, I really liked the rounded lip.
Was the transition good on that ramp?
It was horrible.
Because it looked like it had a
Dave made a true half pipe.
Yeah.
And at that time, no one figured out, well, why don't we just do the transition?
Right.
And instead of doing a 16-foot, it was a 16-foot transition, why don't we still do the 16, or maybe do an 18 or a 20, and let's throw 8 feet of flat on the bottom. We just didn't think that way then.
No.
That didn't happen until Hosoi and Kasai and Mag and all the guys just needed more speed.
They figured it out,
They figured out that we're going to pump, and then they're launching 10 feet higher.
Right.
But it was good training ground for us. But the rounded lip was the funnest, because you can get away with murder and still not eat shit.
No.
You know, so. But 8 foot wide was tough, because no matter how I still got scars on my legs to this day from falling off that ramp and you know, shin grinding off the edge. I remember we all had those. So. It's part of skating, man.
It is.
Either that or you lose your teeth, or you got all the, you know, I mean, we can all name our scars. I'm on a first name basis with some of mine still. I still have calcium deposits in my hips.
Same here.
From taking hippers.
Yeah.
And I can like push them around and float them around and feel them in my hips.
Mm-hmm. I got it from Upland.
From the pipe?
Absolutely.
You get major
crushed there.
Yeah, that's where you end up with all these calcium deposits.
I'm going to need a new hip just from Upland.
Like I said, unfortunately, Billy took a mad hipper and was on a cane for the rest of his life, from what I understood. And that always scared everybody, that's how quick it can happen.
Yeah.
And then you see Orton, of all things.
Yeah.
This was for you, Big G. The bionic wild man from hell coming out of that pipe at like 3 feet past halfway. And still fully committed. And at that point, he's 6, 7 feet. And he's balls to the wall committed. There's no backing out. And he'd pull it. Or he'd eat total shit.
Yeah.
And then get up, ring his bell, live on TV.
Do it again.
Because and George Orton. But that's why we love him, right? We love Georgie.
Absolutely.
Nobody took it to that level. We're jumping all over the place here, but nobody took it to this level, and still left this kind of a story and a smile on our face. I mean, there's Orton stories. I never actually even asked him this. Even though I should have, been what I consider such a, him one of my closest friends, that he actually got knocked out during competition and then woke up and then went like back to competition. I don't know if he ever actually did that, but I've heard people.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
He knocked himself out and rung his bell and got up and said, "I'm not done yet." Got back in the ring and like a fighter, he did another round.
I'm trying to think.
Maybe even won the damn contest. To be honest with you, I mean, like literally, just he was relentless. But that shot at Upland off that hip of him on what 7-inch wide power flex board, bro. This was before Sims, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think Frank Blood's board, he rode the 33. He rode the longer one with the warp tail. Still wasn't super wide, but it was Frank's style. George rode more of the power flex thinner ones. But when he rode for Sims, I'm not sure if he rode the warp tail or the block tail. But it's kind of funny how we look back at all the boards then, and I just saw the posting of Kevin Anderson, the Worm, doing that front side in Baldy. So close to the edge of that pipe. Again, fully committed on a popsicle. There's never going to be
gnarly.
Well, there's never going to be a time in skateboarding. I don't think that people are going to accomplish that much with such little.
Jimmy Wilkins.
Well, Jimmy's at a whole nother level. Jimmy's taking it.
That's what it is, you know? I mean, the Worm was Jimmy Wilkins only 40 years ago.
You know, right down to the. You see this kid? He's super high air, and he locks up and just rolls back in, almost like he just hits a little speed bump in the parking lot. No big deal.
Nothing.
And then I'm going to go into like a 540 alley oop, no handed
switch.
Yeah, I love Jimmy Wilkins. He's probably one of the best talents. Him and Clay Kreiner and all those kids. I love all those kids. Don't get me wrong. All you guys, when I saw you at Vans, blew me away. When I saw you guys at Eddie's event 5 years ago, the 2018 Elgato. Yeah. And, brought my daughter out. She got to meet Jimmy and Clay, and they were all really cool to her. But the coolest thing was, I would love all those guys to come out to Elgato. I wish they would, man. They did. Hopefully they come this year. Yeah, I hope they come I hope they come this year. Yeah. Because it's just awesome to be able to sit there and see, like, that's what they had to do. They show almost what we did back then compared to what they're doing now. And it's just I remember Jimmy doing a trick, man, and I said to him, "What the hell are you doing?" He explained to me, and I don't think he's ever done it again since Elgato. But some kind of a weird came up and switched, and then like again flip. I mean, all this shit going, way too much going on with no hands and this and that, and at the same time, literally Fred Astaire. Everything is just he's just perfect, so precise. But that kid is. It's the reason why he's with kudos to. PLG, Pierre Luc. I think Pierre might have taken him over his wing, from what I understood. Really? For Wilkins? Danny had mentioned that they were, that Pierre kind of supported him in the early days, but he went on to take on PLG. You got to remember what PLG owned that for what 6, 7, 8 years. He just kept winning vert. Jimmy's taken the torch. I think PLG might have handed him the torch. Maybe not. I'm sorry if I don't get the story right, but when I think of PLG, I think of Jimmy and. In relation to the style that they have, the fluidness, and just taking. Where's he from? Where's Jimmy from? Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. I think his parents are out of the state, but my daughter knows him much better than I do. Super sweet kid. Yeah, he's the nicest kid on the. He's so sweet. Man. Yeah, man. My daughter and him are good friends, and he was always just so, just like a well raised and well spoken. But what I was totally blown away with is. Just the confidence and the fluidity of his skating. Yeah. And I think everybody now can see that it's no secret. But, so the Young Guns, more than 2 thumbs up. Those guys blow me away. Oh, I didn't even know what to expect when I went to Elgato. When I saw it, I thought, you got to be kidding me. This is the level that skateboarding's at now. And they weren't even really skating. They were doing great at that time, but it still blows you away. Well, I think they were guests of Eddie to come in and kind of give the crowd the last wow, because the legends are doing their thing with Tony and Mag and Hawk and Eddie and Andy Mag and Miguel. Yeah. Got to keep knocking there. Everybody just killing it, And then these Young Guns come on, and it's just like fucking Beetlejuice. Your head spins. It's like, don't you hate when that happens? I thought, are you guys literally doing this shit every day? Like it's nothing, and their feet don't leave the board, man. Yeah. I mean, I don't think spinning and flipping and doing everything else. They catch and throw it back down, and then they keep going. Yeah, I don't think I saw Jimmy bail more than 2 or 3 times on all the runs I watched him doing stuff to where and padless, which just makes it even funner. But anyway, okay. Why wear pads when you can go to ICU and get everything all rebuilt? And other than the one accident he had doing the loop. Yeah, which I only caught wind of that. Clay had mentioned to me what had happened, and I saw a brief video of it. That was like the scariest thing I saw when he got hurt doing the loop on Tony's ramp. Showed it to my daughter, and she was, oh my God, I mean, it was a pretty heavy slam. And being the world champion and literally like the top gold winner of X Games, and pretty much cementing his spot in skateboarding. But then to go out and do that and hurt himself outside of his competition, I thought that's just a big risk. I felt bad for him when I saw that injury, but he healed pretty quick.
So do me a favor. Tell me, what was your favorite skate park of all the ones you skated, and why?
It's a tough one.
What'd you like?
I
What was
like
the best?
Oh,
I mean,
I never got.
Marina,
I got to skate Winchester once, and it was super smooth.
Yeah,
that light pinkish kind of purple.
That bowl was the smoothest.
Kiwi and Scotty Fox and Cab and who's the other guy that the
Eric Halverson maybe
super cool mellow chill style dude.
Super, yeah.
That was a fun fast pool.
Yeah. Scott Parsons was another guy that was up there that was destroying it. David Z, I remember, was up that point too. I remember skating with him there.
Yeah.
So
I was just surprised how fast and smooth the pool could be, and that weirdest pinkish kind of pearlescent tone to it. A little slippery, but you know, you just rode 80-some. You just rode grippier wheels. You didn't ride 90s and 95s and stuff. But I don't think those were even happening.
Yeah, that was probably the.
And the coping was nice and everything.
Slippery as ever.
So probably that and upper. I hate to even though I broke my ankle and kind of ended my whole show in the upper keyhole at Marina.
Did you remember how you broke it? What you were doing?
Of course I did.
What we were doing?
Let me finish the pool story with you.
Which one? Winchester or back Marina?
Well, Marina and Winchester were killer, right?
Yeah.
Pomona Pipe and Pool, not so good.
Right.
Lakewood, Keyhole.
Good, yeah.
Those top three were probably the best.
Okay.
And then I came down and got to skate Del Mar.
You never skated Oasis Keyhole?
Never.
Because that was exactly...
Never.
Theirs was exactly like Uplands. I mean, not Uplands. It was
Lakewood?
Lakewood's.
Lakewood was the best.
Yeah, it was
the photo
so similar. It's not even funny.
The photo posted of George just a few days ago that I responded to is a perfect, iconic photo of just how high you can get in that pool.
Yeah.
And I remember
it was kind of small and tight.
Well, I mean, that was the first time I actually saw Bobby.
Yeah, me too.
And Daryl together.
Oh, okay.
They own that place.
Yeah.
And Bobby invented the hand plant there. Bobby Valdez. I mean, when he saw that, it was like that's where it happened.
Yeah.
And Gnarls was a ripper of that. They ripped that place.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought I was more in control of the half pipe. In the keyhole, I liked it, but the weird part about that keyhole was the drop in was real quick and everything was kind of fast. And so to really get a pump going like a capsule pool, I would prefer like the capsule at Pomona Pipe and Pool or Big O. I love the figure eight carves and I love being able to build up to the speed to where when I went into that layback shot, I used to be able to come up at an angle and get onto a wheelie, and it would be a motocross move to me. I would just be like flying through the air and just feeling like the back end was shooting a rooster tail, and I was flying across the top of a mountaintop, on a motorcycle with the front wheel.
Okay, wait a minute. What are we talking about? Layback right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the layback was really that shot right there was me hauling ass and coming up, and all I pictured was I was flying across the top on the motorcycle. The layback ollie was complete. I'll share that with you. Was completely derived from.
We're gonna get that.
Motocross.
We're gonna get there.
But that shot right there was the beginning of 6 or 8 coping block long grind where you'd get going, you'd get on your wheelie, you'd float for 2 block. 2 block later, you'd be starting to lay back. 2 block later, you'd be fully stretched and rolling back in at a total stall with everything Smith grind hooked up, no copers. So it's kind of ironic to be able to, in a capsule, build up that momentum to slide 4 to 6 coping block.
You were always a Gumby skater. I mean, like, you were very limber.
I was once a little green ball up.
But just like, I mean, I just remember your inverts were pretty straight up and down because you were taller than everybody. So you always had really good height on that stuff.
But I only knew technique.
Yeah.
I never can go in between like everyone else. I had to. If you look at my invert shot, you're going to see the one right now. Either that one
too,
or the one at Escondido at Whirling Wheels for the Nationals.
Yeah, I don't have it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, you do. The one that it says.
I'll
send it to you.
Yeah, I don't think I have it.
No, that's not Whirling Wheels.
No.
Little square tiles.
No. Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Anyway,
we don't have it because I would have put it in.
Oh, it's the greatest hand plant shot. It says Kevin Moore thrust himself into the #1 position in USA. It's when I won the USA series. It was that
for the amateur Whirling Wheels. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had that as part of the
I never found it either. I never saw it.
Oh, it's the best shot. Okay. I think it's one of, besides Terrebonne.
Here's this one right here. I mean, honestly, okay, you made up a trick. And
It was actually two tricks.
you took 2 tricks and put them together into one.
Right.
And which is a front side ollie into layback. And to
You
this,
have Terrebone's photo?
yeah, it's coming up right now. T-Bone's photo, because yeah, T-Bone was amazing. But
the one with the
where was that at? Is that at Upland?
this one right here, Greg.
Which one is
That
that?
one shot.
Oh, that one.
That one. Yeah.
Let me see real quick. Just
I got it.
oh, okay.
Right there.
Oh yeah, this photo here.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you made your claim to fame in skateboarding. Really, is by doing this trick. And I know.
Well, luckily to Jim, James, and also T-Bone, which really made it. By the way, that's the hand plant shot we're talking about right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Send it to me. I'll get it.
Yeah.
Put
It's
it
all
in there.
good. Yeah. I mean, that was
So
the cool thing about this is, whenever we're jumping around, you got Steve Cathy, Anthony Senna, Eric Carlson, Wally Inouye, a couple other guys.
where's this at?
Oasis.
Oh,
It was
it's
the USASA.
Oh, I thought you said you never skated Oasis.
Well, not Oasis. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Whirling Wheels.
Whirling Wheels.
Whirling
Okay.
Wheels.
Escondido.
And then it's got the little blurb in the bottom about
Okay.
winning the USASA thing. But that was the gnarliest, most uncomfortable pile of doo-doo pool I ever rode in my
I
life.
agree, 100%.
You're dropping in on this. You just really couldn't choose a direction.
So peanut.
But-
bowl.
No, it wasn't even peanut. It had it was
No,
like
was a
it went
peanut,
like
so
this, and it had a flat.
wash with
Yeah.
flat waterfall for
Right.
each bowl.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, but Gator sure could rip it.
good
Tell you
for
that much.
Gator.
Yeah, Gator. So-
Didn't
I
work
remember-
so well with me, but this particular shot,
Yeah.
I'll share with you. I had broke my park machine board.
Okay.
Dale wasn't able to get me a second one. I didn't show up with a backup. Chris Stropel and Wally Inouye through Eric,
Yeah.
kind of like Kevin needs a board,
Yeah. They gave
riding
you-
Hobie Claus wheels, independent trucks with no copers,
Yeah.
Van shoes, not
Yeah.
Hobie shoes.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we were talking about the Whirling Wheels, the invert that was
Right.
there. So we're gonna
Yeah, and the
put that-
lockup that happened, because a lot of people don't realize the hand you see in the bottom of the photo is Gary Pollitt. He was our local friend who was a great photographer, and he was shooting with the fisheye. And James shot, of course,
is that
got
right?
the
Yeah,
shot,
yeah, yeah.
but that's Gary Pollitt's hand. And in the background is Eric Carlson, which was also our good friend. All of us were like the Rat Pack. It's kind of ironic to see all that. And I literally, the only time I didn't use copers, and Indy offered them right about that time. And I was like, give
Well, a
or
lot of
take it.
parks were making people have them. Well, you couldn't skate a park,
Right.
because you didn't have copers.
But if you land
Yeah.
with a launch like that, I'm
Yeah.
6 foot, and it was pretty
Yeah.
extended, and
Yeah.
I literally hooked up, but I didn't eat shit. I was able to pull it off. I just remember
But that's why you-
wobbling out of
and that's
it,
why you won that
and I
day.
went right up into it. Eddie that day technically,
Yeah.
won
okay.
that competition,
Okay.
and he was kind of awarded amateur champion type of thing, but not to discriminate against anything of that. Eddie went on to be who he is, but because I won the USASA point overall,
Right.
I just didn't win that particular competition.
Right.
That was the gnarliest near-death experience I ever had, hooking up like that. And then I just remember coming up the other side and hearing people like,
Screaming.
well, they just
Yeah.
thought I was going to be, hoisted out of there, with a crane or something. But and then that pool was rough as hell, man. It's. So, anyways, there you go. Greg will be posting that photo up here eventually for you all to see somewhere. I might find it here. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I mean, yeah. So this, anyway, I just wanted people to know, like, this trick is what you made up. That was your trick, and that's just.
Well, it's amazing that one move.
really awesome.
I can remember the day I did it.
Yeah.
Perfectly warm, sunny day. That wasn't actually the day I invented it.
Right.
But again, my mind was relating more to twisting a
Motocross.
throttle,
Yeah.
jumping through the air, and using my skateboard as kind of a bike or motocross type of thing. And I started to do it across the drop in the Pomona pipe pool half pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was maybe 5, 6. It was a big channel, bigger than Big O.
Mm-hmm.
But when you landed very close to a capsule end on it. So when you landed, you didn't have a whole lot of room to do anything else. So I took the trick from there because I just wanted to jump the channel and, grabbing the board. I actually never grabbed the board. But then to land, well, that's the way you don't want to land it.
Where's that?
And that's not me.
Yeah. Where is that?
Who is it? That's not me.
No.
These photos that you sent us.
I never sent you a picture. Never in my. I don't even. I've never even seen it.
History photograph skateboarder that's not you.
I've never even seen that photograph in my life.
Well,
I never wore Converse shoes, and I never drove trackers.
Those are Powell Bones. That's the first generation of the Bones.
That's not me.
Somebody
nice
wanted to
move,
be you. You're like
that's
the
you.
mystery man.
That's me. I heard people that said they did the trick, but unless I saw it, I don't believe anyone's ever done it, at least the way that it was.
You know, I can say Billy Ruff has a picture of him doing it at Oasis. And
I'd love to see it in sequence. So I can actually see the release and the launch and the landing. But, you know, it's cool that that trick inspired, I'm not going to say so many people, but just it's lived its legacy. So the crazy part is, after all this, well, not long career, but all the competition and all the tricks and all the everything else that comes along with being recognized as a skateboarder, to do one move that's never been done really by anybody else. I think I did it maybe less than a handful of times in competition, and it might have actually clinched the deal and won it. But when you do it in a half pipe with no coping, it's a whole different than in a pool. I'll just tell you the trick: you can't do it with coping because the board. The coping kicks the board away and you lose the bowl. It has to be done without coping. It has to be done on vertical. And it's a motionless release trick, which means you suck your knees up to your chest, you bring the board into you, your body maneuvers and changes, the board floats under your feet. You literally don't have to ollie, you don't have to try to maneuver it. There's just a way of doing it to where it all happens in a motion. And I'm not even a surfer. So to do a layback move and to be able to launch two tricks in one and then be kind of known for it is mind blower to me because I can't surf to save my life. I've never done a layback on a surfboard in my life. And somehow this, happened. But, again, with Jim Goodrich and Tara Bone, really probably the two that pushed it and got it out there. And the sequence shots say a lot, but yeah, it's cool, man. I mean,
so I'm stoked. All right. So what other travel did you do? I mean, did you go on a lot of tours or anything back then?
Yeah, we really
I just contests and stuff.
Yeah, local. I mean, the farthest contest I think I traveled to was Goleta for the Sparks, which was my first contest with Hobie.
Okay.
And gnarly Charlie Ransom took me up there in his chitty chitty bang bang Toyota truck.
Yeah.
Leaking oil and spitting out black all the way up there, and we got there. And Charlie's trucks were so loose. And he would literally carve the half pipe. He would 50-50 carve. And he would be doing frontside 50-50s and backside 50-50s with super loose trucks in a half pipe. So he won the half pipe contest. He won the slalom contest. Maybe Hackett wasn't there that day. Sorry, Dave.
That's crazy because I remember that's the big half pipe at Goleta.
It had brick coping.
Brick coping, exactly.
Okay? And then I went in the pool. So somehow I won first place, my first contest with Hobie in a park I never rode before.
Yeah.
And as much as now that I know Brad Bowman and love Brad's an awesome dude. I literally went to drop into the pool, like, the pros did their thing, and then the amateurs came in, and I was coming in as Brad was coming out. Somehow I bumped him or maybe irritated him or got in his way, and he gave me the craziest freaking Charles Manson eyes. Scared the shit out of me, and I was always scared of Brad Bowman. I think we're the same age, but really, and until I got to meet him later, which is really not until Elgato I really got a chance to visit with him. Super good dude, But I just remember that was my introduction to the pool was Brad Bowman, like looking at me like I'm going to kill you, and I'm like, oh, I'm up here from freaking Diamond Bar Walnut, and first, shot at getting.
But you had Charlie on your side, man. What are you worried about?
Charlie could have gone a bat for me.
Jesus, man. Yeah, I was scared of Charlie.
I actually don't even remember what I did in the pool. I don't remember one skate move, I don't remember any of it, but I came home with the first place trophy, and I remember bringing it home to Hobie, and maybe I took it into Showdale and Cash and in the Hobie office. And so, it was. Do you
remember that year?
79.
Oh, 79. Okay.
Yeah, everything actually happened in 79. 78 when I did the ad with the model. And then it was in the magazine, that one magazine cover that had Doug Schneider way up in the ceiling. I had like 3 or 4 shots in that particular mag. And then I think my Who's Hot issue, I had the sequence also in there. So a couple months I got a lot of coverage there, but it was all 79.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for Goodrich and Casimus and T-Bone, those guys were pretty cool. I owe a lot to them. I wouldn't have any of these great memories without those guys. Jim really did kind of take me under his wing and kind of push a little bit more than I think a lot of people would have. So I'm super thankful for Jim for that one because, people just throwing slides out in the trash. So that was cool. So those memories are guys like that. And then, of course, James kind of spearheaded my Who's Hot right before it got printed. I think some of Jim's photos might have got lost, and then they used Casmus's instead. And then, of course, T-Bone's shot of the layback. And the shot, the one that I really dig is the shot of me in the blue and white Quicksilver shorts on the banks in Hacienda Heights around the corner from Frank Blood's house, which is the ad for Santa Cruz. My only ad with George and Olson and Salva. And me coming out of a broken leg cast, they put me on the street skateboard. So where I'm not a street skater, right? The street skateboard from Santa Cruz. The very first year it came out. But still a cool ad, though.
Yeah, that's super rad.
Yeah. I'm just glad I could skate again, because I literally over a year and a half before I even got back on the skateboard. It was a gnarly break. It was in the upper keyhole, layback air, and I literally launched too far off the wall.
A layback air?
A layback air.
Wow.
I literally grabbed the board, did a layback air, and my Who's Hot, it shows that shot. And I was so far away from the wall that when I landed on the transition. I floated from the top right to the bottom of the pool, sat on my ankle, snapped it, and then laid on the bottom of the pool and went blind. I lost my vision because my body went in shock from the impact on the body. And then Everett Rosecrans, thank you, Ev, carried me out of there and was kind of like holding my hand and talking to me and getting my mom on the phone. And I was surprised that your body can actually go in shock that bad from an injury. I've never had that kind of injury again after motocross and everything else. But it ended in the upper keyhole.
Okay.
That was it.
The career killer. The career killer ended up there
in the upper keyhole,
and then also just the time of skating was dying at that time. Skate parks were closing left and right.
Right.
And
exactly. Well, the insurance companies were shutting shit down right and left, and now you can go out and put your life at risk with no helmet, no pads, and just go almost kill yourself. And they're like, just don't call us.
Yeah. You're gonna sue us.
1-800. Don't call me, man. Yeah. So what happened? It ended literally our whole era, and now today it's public.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. But and there's 4,000 parks. What, 5,000 parks probably?
At least.
I think Tony's probably behind, 2,000 or 3,000 parks openings? I mean,
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Greater than the height it was when we were skating.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that's probably
that's
minimal.
America. That's not Mexico, Canada,
everywhere else. Yeah. Well, how they're building skate parks in Thailand and
in churches.
Absolutely.
And like the baddest ass church parks you've ever seen with killer tile work and mosaics. And I'm like, I just want to hang out and I want to live in the church. I'm going to be homeless and skate the church, man.
Every day.
It's like chop shops in LA. Some of the best, incredible custom cars are rolling out of chop shops with the most underground talent every single day. It's amazing what's out there. Skating, I think the same. Well, you would know. You're around it much more than I do, but.
Yeah, well, we still. I'm gonna go skate with Martinez and Saldino, and actually Doug couldn't make it, but a bunch of people are meeting this weekend to go skate. Actually, on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, at the pump track.
Oh, cool.
We're all gonna go. Billy Ruff's going too, but anyway,
that's your outlet.
I just saw it. I just got the text just before we started here.
Right on.
Like, okay, everybody. I was like, okay.
Well, everyone keeps including you, like, come on down, and you tell me stories about Dwayne coming down there and everybody. And
well, Dwayne was, but he dropped off.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing I keep thinking is, like I said, I got balance and I can skate, but I notice the leg muscles, the wobbliness. You lose that strength. It's not the same. I mean, being a drummer, my feet are my muscles and my legs are different from sitting on a drum stool than it is riding a skateboard. But if I ride a skateboard, it's still comfortable. I can actually still do handstands. No problem. I'd rather ride on my hands than my feet.
Yeah.
But hitting the ground, breaking wrists, elbows, knees. Time out, baby. That's where I clock out.
All right. Well, we have some other pictures of kind of like getting back to the family.
My brother Kenny.
Yeah. I mean, that.
My only brother, Kenny.
Yeah, your brother, Kenny. And
during his Grizzly Adam days when he was young enough to grow a beard and pretty damn proud of it. He boasted a big-ass beard. I cannot grow a beard to save my life, so I would never pass as Elvis's son. No sideburns, no nothing, but my brother can grow like a beard in a week. Kind of like Kevin Staub.
Yeah.
But
I'm not
a pirate.
Mine goes gray. I'm like, can't do it.
Yeah, that's, I'm guessing that's about 1974, 75. I'm probably in
be sure it's the mid-70s.
Yeah, because I wasn't graduated from high school yet, and my brother was still here. And he went in the military shortly after high school, maybe at 20 or 21. And he was born in 57. I'm born in 61. So that's a great picture. I actually just sent that to him a couple days ago for the first time. I don't think he's ever seen it. He got a kick out of it. And one of my favorite shots right there.
Here's another family. Another family picture, but a different.
Well, starting from the left, Scott Dunlap. I hadn't saw him in a while, so it was cool to get him with his little derby type hat in. And George, of course, I had just ran into him a day or so before that, or that day, and he didn't even really remember me. I made a comment to my daughter about George used to kind of live with us shortly, and we played drums, and I think he kind of made a comment to me like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Like, and then I said, "You don't remember me?" And Kevin, you know. And then, so I got reacquainted with George literally within that day, and then Dale and myself, my incredibly wonderful, beautiful daughter Bree, who told me not to put any photographs of her on this, but that was hidden, sweetheart. So Brad Bowman, who was absolutely a charming kid. I never really got a chance to meet him. And right at that moment, he was giving me wet willies. He was wetting his finger and stick it in my ear while he had his arm around my daughter laughing. My daughter thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And good old Eric Grisham jumping in there, as shy as he is, he just jumped in and said, "I want part of this." And we had Freddie DeSoto, and I think Lance and Alan Losi were hanging close to that. We just couldn't get everybody in there. But that was really a fun first time get together with everybody.
There's your Hobie family now.
Yes, but you know who's missing, who we had in the audience that didn't make it down because they didn't know we were shooting? It was Steve Evans and Gnarls. We didn't get Daryl Miller and Steve Evans in that shot, which was kind of a bummer because I think Daryl was in the bar. Yeah. Go figure. Yeah. And Steve was, I think, maybe just saying, being Steve, hanging out. But I wish we would have had those two in there because there's two spots right there where they could have fit right behind.
There's plenty of room for everybody.
Dale and but yeah, it was cool. And I got to give Jim Goodrich some credit on this because he saw it coming. He did, and he was doing his best to enjoy the event, but still mingle. But Jim's always got his eye on the ball, and he's got his camera, and he's ready to rock. And so he saw that coming, and then Glenn Miota pulled the banner out, and I was actually standing on the front row there, and then I felt kind of like Eddie's a little shorter than me, and then Ed Nadlin shorter than Eddie, and then and so I just kind of thought I would go ahead and stand in the back with Steve Shipp, and as much as I thought I wanted to hog the show, that was a cool. Like I said, but if we had Steve and Gnarls, maybe we can recap that when we get a chance. Maybe.
Yeah, you'll have another next couple months.
Who knows? Get everybody together again because everybody's still alive. I think that was the only other Hobie person at that 2017. It was my first Hall of Fame to ever go to. I never, saw one. Kyle Jensen had called me a few times and invited me to go with him and Bill, his good buddy Bill, who has the ramp up in North County. Bill Billings.
Billings,
And Bill was always nice enough to invite me up to skate. And I think I just mentioned him. I just don't want to take the risks anymore, which might sound like a dumb excuse, but either way, I just never went. And Kyle always called me like a day or two before we got an extra ticket. And I think both times I was involved with doing something with my daughter. So daughter's first. But we finally got there, and that was cool. And this shot right here is classic. I love Kevin Staub laughing with his purple pants and his crazy Kevin Staub style shoes, and his jacket is freaking epic. It's the coolest jacket. I don't think he's never washed it because you can't, but every piece of artwork on that is impeccable. He told me the story behind it. And then to see Alan was awesome, and then to see Lance, and I never really had a chance to get to know Lance very well, but of course, mad respect for him, and incredible stuff I've seen him do on a skateboard in a pool, jumping across where you walk out of the pool, hanging on the bars, and this guy's flying across doing frontside hand plants, touching them. I never saw anybody do that before. When I thought that was the most insane. So right onto that, Lance. That's one of the greatest moves I ever saw. But that's one of my favorite shots. And I think there was maybe one or two more that we had where we were able to catch Tony Hawk with Kevin and I and Mike Miguel.
Yeah.
Download that one.
I thought
we can get him in.
I thought I did, so I have it.
Okay. Shame on you.
Shame on me.
It's hard to find.
There's like 500. There's like 500 pictures you sent me, man.
I was gonna say it's so hard to find good help. Some people's kids, man.
Well, anyway, so kind of after.
So for Elgato, that was a badass event. That was cool, and I haven't been to a second one, and I'm gonna go this year to support Ed's number 5. I think his 5th.
Yeah.
And then and his 60th birthday. Yeah, so it's all good. Couldn't get him to come to my party, but we'll go to his party.
Okay,
And
so
4 grandkids later, Grandpa. Congratulations to you.
Yeah,
on
right?
that. Yeah.
all right, so here's Kevin's drum set.
My toy box.
He loves to play music with him by himself.
Well, I don't mind the band
drums.
situation. It's just I can't get the band to play what I want. And when I do get them to play what I want, I can't get them to play it as good as they're supposed to play it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just sit down.
Yeah.
Everyone
Put
knows
on earphones.
Everyone knows I'm an absolute Rush fanatic. We want to celebrate Neil Peart. He just had his 70th birthday on September 12th, and part of this celebration tonight is not for me to show off my art collection, but we want to remember Neil. Neil did a lot for drumming. He's inspired millions of drummers.
Yeah.
And this shot was shot by a dear friend of mine named Richard Sibbald, who was Rush's actual touring photographer for the last 2 tours, and took over for Andrew McNaughton, who unfortunately passed away. But we call this the Pit Bull. I call it, Richard never really even had a name for it, but it's Bulldog, and it's Neil's final performance, I believe, at the LA show. And fully committed as always. And to get a shot of Neil's final drum solo and his final performance is pretty rare.
Yeah.
A 42-year career with Rush, of course, being who he is. So I'm not getting any commissions on this, but we're in memory of Neil tonight. And
I had 2. Bob Marley.
yeah.
A week later he died, and Frank Zappa. A week later he died.
Well, people don't know, and it's not a big deal, but the very first thing I did after I walked and learned how to ride a bike and say daddy and mama was my dad, was to learn how to play a drum set. So I was really blessed that my brother had interest in it. And we used to play drums in 1964, 65, 66 on a Rogers drum set. My parents were cool enough to allow us to make the noise in the house and piss off the neighborhood, I guess. Probably wasn't so bad then. But we would be playing Gary Lewis and the Playboys. This diamond ring doesn't shine for me anymore. Then we would be playing Steppenwolf, Magic Carpet Ride, and then I think we moved on to like the drum solo of the Gata de Vida, and then the Beatles. But it all happened in 64, 65, 66. So I never claimed to be a professional musician. I've played pretty much my whole life, and there's been lots of gaps where I haven't played. I've got beautiful drum sets built right now. Unfortunately, they've been sitting in closets more than playing. So sorry for all you. Sorry, Cab, for being a more dedicated musician. Shame on you, drummers and bassists, for not But time, and also being a drummer is a curse, because nobody wants to live next door to a drummer. And it's luckily where I live now, I can get away with it. And I just finally set them up after a while of them being on sabbatical leave. But in my heart, I love it. It's the only thing that I can do that gives me the feeling and the enjoyment and the separation and the accomplishment. Being a good drummer in a room by yourself when you're done playing for hours, nobody sees it but you walk out of there with a personal satisfaction, like skateboarding, like motocross. It's an individual sport. It's not a team sport. But as a band, much more difficult, because finding the right guys and meshing with them, and not having the one egomaniac that has to be the rock star that has to make it because it's all he's got. And the other guys, the classic rock guys we got a little bit different mindset. But to be a serious musician, even in a tribute band or a copy band, you got to be really good. And it's hard to commit that much if you don't practice all the time and you don't play at that level that you expect. And then not to mention, like what Neil had dealt with at the end of his career, the physical ailments. He wanted to retire to be with his daughter, his second daughter and second wife, and he wanted to also be able to go out at the top with not diminishing and not being able to play up to his. I mean, when this guy went on stage and performed and did a drum solo, he literally had to be the greatest drummer in the world. And to not play at that level must be kind of hard. So there's your drumming lesson for the day, Dave.
Got it, man.
We're going to get you on a harmonica or a bass guitar. If we have to, we'll have him blow in a freaking whiskey bottle, but we'll get him in the band.
Get him a mouth harp.
No. If I'm going to do anything, man.
One of the hardest instruments to play.
I want one of those cowbell ringers, man.
More cowbell.
Hey, the cowbell's cool.
I know.
If you know how to swing, man.
Yeah, that's man.
If you can do it like, I can name a few names where you guys would be like, what are you talking about? But you got to clank. Go clave on it, and it would be a big hit.
I saw it on Saturday Night Live once, man.
Really?
It was,
More
it
cowbell.
was pretty awesome.
Who was I'm trying to think of the the Hollywood? Come on,
Will
man.
Ferrell, man.
No, but the
That
guy,
was the one I watched on it.
the
man.
guy that said more
It's awesome.
cowbell. He was
Will
the
Ferrell was the cowbell.
Yeah.
Who was the actor?
actor was a guy in
Christopher Walken.
Christopher
Yeah,
Walken
Christopher Walken,
in
that's
Pulp
right.
Fiction.
Yeah.
That Pulp Fiction
Yeah.
attitude. More
See, man?
cowbell.
That's it. That'll be my instrument.
Will
man.
Ferrell killed
I
it.
can't play a musical instrument to save my life.
We can work on that.
But, you know, I could probably play that cowbell because all I got to do is smash
Come and
it,
hang out
right?
with me for a little while. We'll get you on a drum set. We might even film it and embarrass the shit out of you for fun.
Sure, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I'll get on
If anything
your,
else,
on your
we'll get you-
drum set.
I can
If you
set up.
allow anybody on it, you know, I would.
We'll separate
You
and
know.
make two, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we can have like a little drum
The little
duo,
thing,
and we'll
like a
get you
little
going.
kid. All right, I'm in.
That was
I
fun.
can
Well,
do that.
anyways, thanks for sharing that. It was, like I said, not that it's a big deal, but we had 9/11, and then we had Neil one day apart.
28.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, yeah, let's go back. Another hobby, Kevin. Right now, here it is. Look at that. Beautiful.
Aside from landscape construction, design, and build, you mean?
Yeah.
Which is my
Which is
40-some
right here.
year. Very thankful for what I get to do. Beautiful home right there in Carlsbad. on
Everybody,
2
yeah.
lots.
Just so you know,
Don't want to use any
this
names.
is what he does for a living now, and he goes and designs people's backyards and builds them.
Specialize in exterior
Yeah.
design and build.
So this is one of his jobs that he did down at the beach down in Carlsbad. So if you're walking down the beach, you can find it.
Probably won't see it, but it's
Palm trees give
it's
it
right
away.
just south of Cannon, and
Yeah.
it's a very famous gentleman's house that bought both lots. And
Well, if you know the area, you know
Yeah.
exactly where this is at.
it's just
Yeah.
south of Cannon. It's right before the beach where everyone parks and goes down to the beach. And it's
Right.
like literally like a few houses before that. But anyway,
you-
so the
you
cat's
can't
out of the bag. But those palms are actual coconut and hybrid Kentia specimens that were shipped in from the Key Island of Florida. So the gentleman who did this who owned this home demanded that things were really authentic. And if you'll notice, we left the boxes growing sideways for 2 years prior to installing them
Yeah.
to create
Wow.
the sideward
So they
slant.
turned, yeah.
So we created hurricane palms, and nobody knows that the trees were purchased that long ago before the project. And we would literally tilt the boxes, and we grew them way out towards Hamul to where the heat was extreme, and it created that subtropical environment. You don't get that look in California. You're only going to get it in Florida.
Right.
But that particular species is incredible. And then in the background, we have the native California fan palms, and we have the Phoenix canariensis and the giant palms that you see with the big pineapples. But that was an incredible project. It was very expensive for that time. That project was 15 plus years ago. But the water feature, Greg, if you have a photo of it,
Yeah.
that's in the front driveway, was
There it is.
no, that's not it.
No,
It's a
it's
circular. No.
No, that's
It's
it.
circular in the middle of a driveway. It looks like a
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
yeah. It's in front of like an estate style looking home.
Give me 1 second.
Right there.
Yeah.
C29.
Yeah.
29. Yeah.
That's that. We see that, they don't.
Got it.
We see it.
I saw it. Did you see it?
I did. Yeah.
I saw it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I'm blind, I can still see it.
That's because
But-
we have a modern.
There it is, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll explain something really cool to you. His wife, who had a vision in the background on that bronze wall, wanted a water feature looking like rain coming down on a bronze statue, which really there's an umbrella that goes with it, but in that photo, the umbrella was not put in there. And it's to create rain on the ocean. And in front of it, I created a 360-degree vanishing edge water feature with 70-degree reverse vertical water flow, meaning it comes up, it trickles down at 15 degrees, but when it gets to the top, instead of being vertical, it goes to 70, and it goes to 30 this direction. And the whole illusion is that the water is floating in midair. At nighttime, it looks like a floating bottle of water, or a bowl of water. And by doing the 20-degree recess underneath, it always creates waterfall, which at that point creates the sound, even if the feature is only flowing really slow, because people don't want it noisy, they want it subtle. But there's always some noise when you come in there. And then the shh across the rock. So it's I'm really proud of that water feature. Okay, in case I'm not bragging enough on this one, but it took 2 or 3 different transitions to create that, and about a year of battling with other people that wanted it one way over the other. But in the end, we accomplished it. It has the floating volcanic fire ring in the middle. It has fiber optic lighting. It's got M-Pool lighting sunk in the bowls, all Pebble Tech finish. It's I don't even want to put a number on it. I don't want to put it on a number because it wouldn't be respectful. But it was a pretty incredible task. But by the time we got done, it cost, and to build it the way this gentleman, I think, was most happy, because we weren't supposed to have such a big bowl around it.
Yeah.
It was supposed to just be a disappearing edge, and I was going to do 0 edge from the driveway to it. But then when you saw the lighting effect at night, reflecting off all of the ledger stone, each piece of stone there is cut 1.5 by 2 to 3 to 4, and each one is laid each level, and all of them are offset so that not one ever overlapped the other, so that it always creates directional movement of water. And at night, when you shut it down really slow, is when you see all the effects of the water dancing. You don't get it until you see it running. Seeing it dry does it no justice until you see the water moving. But more volume, less effect. Less volume, pretty darn impressive. So,
awesome.
And the fiber optic lighting on it, and like I said, the different directional things that I designed in there, because I had to experiment. Vanishing edge used to be flat, and then looking from inside the bowl around is a whole different illusion from looking outside looking in. So the whole idea was for people that saw it from the inside out, they saw a different view, and at night in the dark. And then reverse it in the daytime, and everything happened from the lip down. And just, you could literally put a hammock out there and just take a nap, and you can hear it just echoing throughout the whole courtyard. And there's a lot more about that job that you really can't see in that photo, that they put a lot of work into importing chiseled limestone and really unique types of stone from Mexico, recessed, made beautiful lamp shade type things.
So in other words,
that you don't really ever see in exterior design that we try.
So in other words, if there's anybody out there that needs this kind of work done, they should call you, right?
I don't want to use this as a job pitch. I'm very difficult to work with. You're never going to have enough money.
Do this, call me. Just point to the right.
I don't want to, and it's probably better if you don't call me, because unless you want to like go on food stamps or not make your mortgage payment, call me when your house is paid for and you got money to burn, and whatever your budget is, triple it, and whatever your timeline is, quadruple it. Don't book any bar mitzvahs or birthday parties or anything. Don't fucking give me any dates so that you want this thing finished, and just go away and write checks, and then when it's done, we'll
let you know.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it's an open checkbook agreement. Grab your shorts and hang on. But no, it's people who get into it know what they're getting into. I'll be very honest with you.
Last one.
It gets expensive.
All right. Well, anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's one of the nicer. I had half a dozen of my friends' companies buy that photo from me. I sold that photo. I was a landscape photo slut with that photo right there. I sold it, and they wanted to buy it to put it for their picture. And I sold to a guy in Arizona, a guy in I think Oregon or Washington. Can't remember, maybe the islands, and then San Diego, 2 people, and then a pool company guy. So kind of cool.
Awesome. Well, anyway. So as far as skateboarding goes, just wanted to throw it in. Last picture.
Got it.
So you can, I know that
it says everything about, look at the tail of the board and everything. It was hard to do those things.
Every skateboarder though, like a lot of skateboarders get pigeon-toed into a certain trick, and they, like me, aerial axle stall or backside airs. Right. Like 90% of my pictures in the magazines was that.
Right.
You, on the other hand, was lay back, lay back, lay back, lay back, invert, lay back.
Yeah. I never even got an ollie shot, and I never, believe it or not, I never did a backside air very good at all. I just was a dork when it came to backside airs. I wasn't able to launch. Yeah, it was just an uncomfortable trick to me. I never.
I never even saw a frontside air of a picture of you.
At the keyhole in Del Mar, when I went head to head with Alan Gelfand, and I didn't do so well in the pool, but I beat him out in the half pipe, and I think technically they said we tied, or they only had one first place trophy, so we had to fight for who got the first place trophy. It was kind of weird, but I let Alan have it because he was pretty determined to get it. And mine ended up in the trash a couple years later, so it really didn't matter, along with all the USASA medals and kind of I guess all of our trophies eventually. But yeah, there was a good frontside air. Nothing really high like a lot of the guys, though. When you're seeing George fence high, and you at the Big O in the capsule, which was I just saw lately, which is as high as this tree, like 6 foot. In what, like 1980, 79? Yeah.
It's in the opening of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just bionic. But it was a cool, I had a weird thing about when I would do front side air. It was kind of like a Frank Blood thing where the tail would click. And I don't know, I used to just like to hear the click of the tail, and the board would kind of hop into your hand a little bit. You know?
Absolutely.
But it was never really, it wasn't like the hand plant where it went around the front. It was always dead center.
Yep.
And, but, you know, I think, you know, a lot of other guys like George's front side air was a little bit different. He had his leg cranked.
He went straight up and down.
Yeah. George was just, you know,
muscled straight up. And
then there was, you know, then there's guys like this latest guy I saw lately, Barros, Bajo, who's the guy?
Barrios?
Who just Pedro Barros, who just skies for
that guy's ridiculous.
30 feet.
Yeah,
He's another. Yeah.
Did you see the front side he did past vertical part where he rolls up totally, completely, fully committed, and the whole everyone around the park's going nuts. And it's like what, 9 o'clock or something, and he rolls out of this thing. Somehow it gets on top and rolls over it, takes total command, got everybody screaming and yelling, and then almost comes to a stop and just airs back in.
Yeah.
I was there.
Kidding me?
You can see.
Where was that at? Where was that at?
Upland, wasn't it?
Yeah,
No,
I mean, that was not Upland, but it was in the
it was in the
Orange at the Vans. Yeah, Combi Bowl.
No, this that was not Combi Bowl. No, this was like a kind of a half pipe like ravine thing where he just rolled out and literally rolled out of it and on top and floated right back in, and there were people on both sides. It was like a snake run, big ass half pipe.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to look it up.
I got it. I could send it to you.
Okay.
Gnarliest skate, one of the Scarlet skate moves, and kind of a Danny Way thing, fully committed. Yeah, fully committed. So.
Well, anyway, hey, I just want to say thank you for coming, man. That was awesome. I'd like to hear the stories. Always fun.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to talk much about the custom car stuff. That was I wanted to touch base a little bit more on some of that stuff, but I guess it doesn't matter because it goes back a long time. But lately, making friends with different custom car builders and seeing where that industry's gone has been fun.
Yeah, you've always been in custom cars.
Between the cars and the landscaping and drums in and out, and you know, most importantly, you know, my daughter and her new puppy Rio, which we just found out his actual genetics today,
DNA,
which is great. Siberian Husky, and I got to read it to you, but I'll send it to you later. So we finally found that out. But you know, and my friends and family and the architectural and building, I think I'll do it probably forever. I don't think I could ever retire because I get so damn bored. It's too much fun. The job we're doing right now, the people are so excited. They're coming out every day shooting pictures, and all the neighbors are coming around. It's a very small, mediocre job, but it's amazing how much excitement people get out of, you know, turning. We go from concept to completion, and you got no idea where we're going to end up based on the budget. And on limited size lots, you got to be creative, but you can't. There's a fine line between elegant and gaudy. So once you cross that line, it's too much. But they get involved and they start tweaking with you. And then the budget jumps a little more, and before you know it, when they were bitching, moaning about spending 30 or 40 grand, they're up to 70 or 80, and they're still, you know. But it's pretty cool. But this one particular job is not in this area, but I'll share more with you on the next one. If you want to post anything else, I could send you some more. But all right, there you go.
Can do that. Awesome. Well, hey, again, thank you so much for all the stories. On everything in skateboarding. Thanks for the frontside ollie, layback ollie. You know, again, I've only seen one person. I'll show you that did it and did it right, and he did it in the pool.
And it's wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll tell him it's wrong. He'll be like, great, because
I love Billy Ruff. Though I can't tell Billy Ruff he didn't do a good trick. He's a new Hall of Famer. How can I tell Billy Ruff that he didn't do my trick right?
Right. I know.
Billy, if you did it, and you think you did it, and you're happy with what you did,
it was.
I'm
man.
stoked,
it was,
man.
It was awesome.
I've yet to see anybody pull it.
Anyway, I'd also like to thank everybody for watching our fun little show here. If you're watching it on YouTube, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button, and don't be afraid to comment. We like to see the comments. I'll definitely write him and tell him. I'll text him every comment that he gets.
Be careful what you wish for.
So don't be afraid.
I might have to go into hiding.
He's got pretty thick skin.
Do you have a witness protection program?
Yeah, right. I should.
I don't know.
But anyway, again, thank you all again, and have a great day.